Have you ever thought about using trading bots? I used Bitsgap in the last bull market and turned $1,000 into $50,000 within a 5-month period. I documented the whole process and put it in a playlist if you want to see that, along with other training videos and tutorials how to set bots up and make the most of the volatility of the crypto market. If you sign up with a link in the description, you'll get a 7 days free trial with no obligation to continue, and you can also use a demo account within Bitsgap so you don't have to risk your own capital. Bitsgap.
Hello everybody, welcome back. Let's get started, shall we, on this Wednesday morning. So Bitcoin yesterday still pushing through, pushed beyond that major area, that 42 to 43. Pretty impressive, really. And as a result, we're now floating outside of the Bollinger Bands. So we've got candle body born and now kind of going red. Now I'm all right with Bitcoin. Bitcoin, so long as Bitcoin maintains 42 really, and the lowest area I'll be talking will be about 41,350. This little box here. Now I think we probably will stay above here. Consolidating into it, that's no big deal. And consolidating to the bottom, that's not a big deal either. God, my cat is going crazy outside. And so yeah, I'll be looking for this to either consolidate into this and then turn around and then have another push up. So the fact is we are above the resistance, that 42 to 43, so we broke above it. So then the next area, I know that we're sort of like hovering around this particular area. It's not really anything special. What is going on with my cat? I'll be looking for it to trend back up, to be honest with you, and keep trending up. So the next major level really is that one around 42,000, sorry, 48,000. This cat's putting me off. It's staring at me and shouting at me. 48,000 roughly. We've got the wicks, the candle bodies, the resistances, and then the major resistance after this. We call it a dead cat bounce, really. So it's right at 48,000. Now you can get wicks above there, but basically when we get there, I think it's time to pack up and go home for a little bit. Because I am definitely still waiting for this consolidation to kick in, and I think it's likely to happen. If we just zoom in a little bit further now, because we're starting to level out again on the money flow index, sitting around 90, almost 92 really. It's not the 94s or the 95s where you'd really get absolutely scared, but it's still pointing up and probably is going to keep going up with price action, where I reckon we'll find a pop around this area. So the last times, like I say, pop, big consolidation, pop, big consolidation, and then a pop, and then a sharp 30% down before moving back up again. So whichever way you cut it, we are looking for a larger pullback, 30% or so from, to be honest with you, probably from around this range. So it's like I was saying yesterday, what's your what is your game plan? If you're not in Bitcoin already, do you want to take a position and ride it up for a potential 9%, maybe above 10%, which then at that point can come back down to a 30%, down to the mid to low 30s, I would imagine. Probably finding its way back down to this level around 32, 33. It seems that would probably be the better way to anticipate a consolidation over a longer period of time. Obviously, we're looking at this on a weekly, so I'm not suggesting we're going to consolidate for this amount of time, but we might. This might be how it plays, and we might see something along those lines. So yeah, a little bit further upwards, I would imagine, but the closer we get to that 48,000, the scarier it will become. Ethereum, again, it's quite early on in its breakout, and we'd be looking for this to at least make its way up to $2,500. We'll put a little line in there. It's still pretty sweet. I do like this chart. I think it's got a delayed fuse on it, and if this one starts to pick up pace, and especially if it breaks through here, then all alts will benefit. Now, one other thing I'll show you is the total market cap 2, which is basically Ethereum's chart breaking out from its major resistance. Not retested it as support recently. It's still trying to trend back up. Momentum break as well, golden crosses, all that good stuff on a daily, which is fine. We'll take it to a weekly. It still looks good as well. And again, this measured up to a 40% or just short of a 40% move. 36 to 37% move from this breakout zone. So I am still looking for that. But can it do it if Bitcoin decides it's had enough and wants to consolidate, especially if it does go into a longer, more drawn-out consolidation rather than that dump? Because the total 2 and Ethereum show one thing, but are they able to move counter to Bitcoin? It's unlikely, although it's not unheard of. The Bitcoin dominance chart looking pretty sweet, to be honest with you, with the 57.5% dominance area as the next major area where any kind of alt season can take place based on a rotation. So that would be moving from Bitcoin into altcoins. That's what it would that if it's going to happen from anywhere soon, that's where it's going to be. And again, Bitcoin can dump and this can go up. That's very common, and we're looking for another 5% move up on the Bitcoin dominance chart before any potential rotation. So moving out of that sweet Bitcoin into some altcoins is always a scary thing to do. If it was ever to be done at any point, you would generally do it at a resistance of some form, of some degree. And if we're talking major resistance, this is going to be one of them. It's a very big one, in fact. So might be worth a shot. It depends on your risk appetite. But that's basically it. So the Patreon we did last night, we do a Patreon live stream twice a week looking at all these different alts and stocks and whatever. And the vibe I get from most altcoins is that they are all quite good. And that's what you'd expect when you see the Total 2 breaking out, you see Ethereum breaking out. And obviously a lot of these altcoins, some of the ones that we highlighted a couple of months ago have now done like a 20x, like INJ. Not saying that I did a 20x, I did a couple of x. But, if you measure them from the lows to the highs, some of them have done 20x. And so with that, you think, all right, fine, how far can these things go? And we left the stream basically with words of, I would consider it to be wisdom, but it's up to you if you see this as wise. So at the moment the market feels bullish, right? Everybody's bullish again. 2 months ago that was not the case. So this is not the end of a market cycle. This isn't the parabolic absolute everything goes up super full bore crazy market cap extending beyond its previous all-time high type vibe. This is basically a nice rally, likely to mark a significant peak for Bitcoin to then come down to form a lower high over time based on a weekly. So what I'm trying to say is, do you and are you feeling greedy at the moment? And how is everybody else feeling? It looks like greed is taking over, and that's normally a bad sign. You know the drill. Be fearful when others are greedy, and be greedy when others are fearful. So 2 months ago, everybody was fearful. It was calling for some form of alt rally, and it fell on largely deaf ears. Now everybody's calling for alt season. However, I'm kind of looking at market tops for Bitcoin particularly. Now, this doesn't mean that it can't run higher. Obviously, it can, because when people are greedy, they push it all the hell up. That's how it works. People's greed takes over from from the sensible thing to do, which is to be particularly fearful. So it's like I've been doing for the last 3 weeks, I suppose now, which is to emphasize that, this is a good time in the market and we are making consistent gains across the board, but we shouldn't be holding on for dear life at this stage. And any new entry point really does have to have realistic exit points. 1, 2, 3 targets on the way up. Don't target what some moon boy on Twitter is telling you, which is like 10x from here. It could happen, but it probably won't, because I'm looking at we are kind of on thin ice or on borrowed time for Bitcoin, marking a potential peak here, and not to mention something like the Dixie, which is also potentially turning around and wanting to move up as well. So all of this happens at the same time. I don't know if you've recognized this or ever noticed it, but Bitcoin does often have these big rallies in December and pops in December. So it's it happened in the previous bull market, peaked around November, December, then basically went into a bear market. The prior bull market to that peaked around December into January, popped, came down after that. So there's, I suppose, anecdotal reasons as to why that might be happening. Tax years in America, for instance, potentially. But I would also say that whenever the market goes into this sort of euphoric, greedy phase, it gets overbought, and every ounce of my being it has been telling me for a couple of weeks now that we are moving into overbought territory on Bitcoin, and so when it's overbought, you would expect a nasty consolidation or a big drop or something along those lines. Is it going to happen from this level? It could. It definitely could. Is it going to happen from this level? I think it's very likely that it would. So we're looking for a bit more upside on Bitcoin, whether it takes a week or so. But I am also highly skeptical about taking it any further than that, and what the damage would be on altcoins at this very moment is undecided. Whether it actually bounces into an alt season which it could, definitely could. Like I say, I'm not going to ruin the show for you because, again, anecdotally, we did have a pop around this level, didn't we, into January, and that's where the alt season happened. It did form a bubble pop around here. Again, November, December bubble pop as well. So, December's, they have proven to be pretty fruitful. But just going back into what I've been saying for a little while now, whether we get an alt season after a pop or we just get consolidation is a different story. I am not here to say one way or another. There's evidence either way, but I would also say that the statistical likelihood of an alt season after Bitcoin finds a peak is less likely than an alt season after a peak. But it doesn't mean it won't happen. It could happen, but it's not the most obvious scenario. The chances are it all consolidates from a peak around here. So don't be greedy. Don't be greedy. Feel free to trade this market, absolutely, but do not be greedy. Right, I'll leave it with you there. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a nice day. Take it easy.